Hello flute players and band directors. Let's talk about articulation. Something that's really hard to do on the flute. I'd like to teach you an exercise that I learned from Keith Underwood, which has really helped my articulation a lot. And this is an exercise, he calls this the finger breath. Now, whatever hand you are, right-handed, left-handed, take that hand. And we're looking for this part, this knuckle right here, this part of your hand. And I'm going to kind of like wedge it in my lips here. And I'm going to breathe in. Keith always says, pretend like you're saying ho backwards. It should sound like paper ripping. I hope you can hear it on the video here. Now, in the first place, that's just a good breath. Use this to practice your breathing. Once you get the hang of it, if you want to practice articulation, do it with finger breaths. So, what do I mean? I'm going to articulate a finger breath. Kind of saying like do, 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 do. Whatever articulation you use. D. Honestly, I don't know that the syllable matters so much as just that the air is moving steadily and in a relaxed way. So, whatever syllable you like to use. Breathe in and interrupt your air coming in with your articulation. Once you do that a few times, once you get the hang of it, then take that breath and play it on your flute, like this. Now, you'll notice a lot of people's first instinct is to do this. That's not actually really helpful. What you want to do is take a slow breath in and then release it steadily on the way out. I actually feel like that's one of the most important aspects of articulation in the flute. If you get kids that sound like this, which is pretty common, especially when you're starting out on flute, the finger breath should help with that, because not only is that like articulation like real locked up, your mouth is tense, the air's not coming out so steady or great either. So if you can, slow in, slow out, and steady. Steady in, steady out. You want to think about your articulated notes as a single stream of air that's just being interrupted by your tongue. Just as if you turned on a faucet of water, the water is coming out steadily. If you took your finger and just interrupted a steady flow of water, that's what's going to give you good articulation. That is what a lot of kids do is kind of like turning the water on and off, so it's coming out in spurts. That doesn't work so well. You might be able to get that to work when you're going slowly, but it will not work when you try to go quicker. So, steady in, steady out. You want a steady stream of air that's just being interrupted, not starting and stopping, starting and stopping. Now, if you want to work on double tonguing on the flute, which is a method of tonguing that helps you to go faster, then you employ two different syllables. Some people say tuh-ka, duh-ga. I actually use the syllables chugga, 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 chugga. If you want to transition your students, or if you're trying to do this yourself, to try to learn how to double tongue, I recommend using whatever syllable you feel comfortable with that's the back one. So in double tonguing, you need a forward syllable, like duh, and a syllable that hits further back, g, or t and k. Honestly, whatever you're comfortable with is what you should do. So when you want to learn how to double tongue, use whatever back syllable you like. I'm going to use g. And I don't know that you can really hear too much difference when when you're doing it on a finger breath. Just the key is steady air. Do that on the finger breath, do it on your flute. When you feel that you can do both of those evenly and hopefully mostly comfortably, and then you want to try to do a double tongue, then you will do both of them. So for double tonguing, I like chugga chugga. Like I said, I think this is a comfort thing, whatever you like. But so I am going to take a finger breath and then say chugga 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 while I'm doing it. Now, I've been doing this a long time, so that's fairly even. It's a lot harder than it looks. So what you'll notice a lot of times when kids start out, sounds like this. That's very common. It takes practice, it takes time, and just repetition before you'll be able to get both syllables equal in length and steady. Once you feel that you have reached that point, then try it on the flute. So, and you don't have to go this fast. Whichever one you like, take the breath in and then use that breath on to come out on the flute. Also, when you're practicing articulation, I think it works best to practice as legato, meaning as long as you can. Even if you see dots, because, I mean staccatos. Even if you see staccato in your music, practice it as legato as possible. Why? Because once you go to play fast, it's going to sound short. It's going to sound short regardless. But if you get in the habit of this, like if this is my note, I only have about this much of that's tone. The rest is attacks. So once you go fast, that's when you end up with that. So something that sounds like this. It's easy to play that and think, well, how in the world would I ever make that sound staccato? It will. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, if you need an articulation that sounds really aggressive, if the tempo allows it, then you can do the hard hit with the articulation and then the space after. That's a judgment call, not the majority of what your articulation is going to be in the least. Anyway, I have another tool that sometimes I use to help kids with tonguing, and that is my breathing bag. You can get these on Amazon. Some music stores sell them. I have a 5-liter one here. That's, I think, generally a good size. For little kids, you can buy them in like packs of 50 at Amazon. Those work too. So the idea behind this is the same. I'm going to blow a breath into the bag, and then I'm going to breathe that same breath back in. So, in other words, I'm not going to do this. We want to breathe air into the bag and then breathe that air back in. The reason that we start that way is so that you know you have a good breath. That's my single tonguing, saying duh, 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 duh. That's my double tonguing on the bag. Now on the bag, I find it easier to say dugga than chugga. So like I said, the syllables, I think, really you should go with what you're comfortable with. The key is steady. And also, this is one of my cardinal rules, which, boy, I don't know that I've ever found an exception to. The faster we go, the harder we blow. You really got to watch it. If you're trying to articulate quick, like fast notes, you got to watch how much air you're breathing. I mean, how much air you're blowing, because it's probably more than you think, and it's really probably more than what you need. So the bag and the finger breaths are a really good tool to help you gauge how much air you need to be blowing and how to make sure that that air stays steady so that when you go to the flute, it doesn't just like all over the place. So those are my suggestions for articulating on the flute. Hope that helps. Oh, and one other thing, if you watch my other video about singing and playing, that also applies to articulating. So if you have to articulate low notes, you're going to feel, oh, if you hum that low note, as same thing. If you want to hum a high note, you're going to find that it feels a whole lot different in here, but if you're able to make that same adjustment, I think you'll find that it helps quite a bit. So I hope that that does help all of my flute player friends trying to articulate things on the flute, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.